everybody, I'm David from Wild Arena and we are doing a little video today just to talk to you guys about shooting at different levels. Now, we are based up at Knowsley Safari Park and we obviously do lots of the pictures of the animals here, and we are often trying to add an element of difference and interest and drama into those pictures by shooting the pictures from a different angle, especially a low angle. And over the last few years we've done this a lot with things like elephants and wolves and various other species in the park, really just to try and make the pictures stand out. Now, we're doing this video today as part of the Cambridge Photography Week in conjunction with Campkins cameras, and what we want to do really is just run through some of the ideas that we use to help us find those angles and then be able to see what we're doing and monitor and review the pictures through the process. So when we are out and about in the safari park doing our photography, we are of course using interchangeable lens cameras. Now, historically this would have been mirrored SLRs, and if we were not shooting with the camera up against our eyes, we would have been engaging the live view function so that we could throw a preview, a viewfinder image onto the review screen on the back and to see what we're doing with the camera. Of course, the progression to mirrorless cameras like this Canon R6 means that we have that feed constantly all of the time, the electronic feed into the viewfinder and onto the screen at the back. And of course, new cameras also have fully articulated screens, which can be very useful in terms of seeing what the camera is doing when the camera is lower than you or indeed higher than you. Of course, these screens though do have some limitations in as much as they are relatively small and they are relatively hard to see in bright light. So we've kind of evolved a way of working that means that we can take the feed from the camera out of the HDMI connector onto an external monitor. And I want to just talk a little bit about the kind of setup that we use to get the pictures that we have been taking. So the plan for today was to go out and shoot some low-level pictures of the tapirs and the capybaras that we have here at the safari park. Unfortunately, the weather this morning has been terrible, so we've kind of got rained off this morning and we've had to come into the studio just so we can do this introduction. Hopefully the weather will improve a little bit later on and we will get to go out and do some pictures so you can see this kind of style of operation in practice. But what I do want to do is just run through the setup, the rig that we're going to use for you today. So what we're trying to do is get the camera in a position where we can get those low-level pictures, the camera right down on the ground, but for me to still be able to control the movement and dictate the compositions and obviously see what's going on so that I can compose and time the pictures real time as the camera is working. So we have an improvised rig. This rig is not made up of any specific components, just the things that we've got really. We're using a monopod as the main sort of shaft to attach everything to. And on the end I have a ball and socket head, and sat on top of the ball and socket head we've got a Canon EOS R5 body with a 16 to 35mm wide angle zoom. Now the vision, if you like, is that the camera can be right down at ground level, looking slightly up at those animals to generate those really kind of unusual and dramatic compositions. We're going to try and make that even more kind of stand out and significant by adding a little bit of artificial illumination. So on top of the camera we have an STE3 flash trigger, which is going to be firing a 600 speed light, EX600 RT speed light up on a bracket a little bit higher up on the monopod. And when I'm holding this in a minute, it'll all make a bit more sense. And then up on the top end, I have a remote shutter release so I can fire the camera, and then critically a monitor to see what is happening. Now the monitor is connected down to the camera through an HDMI cable, and that will basically throw up anything and everything that would have been on the screen on the back of the camera up onto that 5-inch Atomos Shinobi monitor up on the top. That should be nice and close to me. I should be able to very clearly see what's going on, and hopefully by being able to move the camera around on the inverted end of that monopod, I can get that camera down really nice and low and look for those kind of dramatic angles on the subjects that we're shooting. So we've got a gap in the weather. The rain stopped for a little bit, so we're going to take the rig out down to the tapirs and the capybaras and see if we can get some pictures for you. So we were able to do that little sequence for you when the weather was a bit better. We made the most of the brief gap in the rain. And by looking at that sequence, hopefully you'll be able to see what we were trying to achieve. With the pictures that we were getting and the setup in operation, we were hopefully generating pictures that were significantly different from the perspective that you would get at eye level and with longer focal length lenses. Here's another little sequence of some stuff we did a few weeks back of the meerkats here in a very similar way. So that system with the monitor on the top gives us a tremendous ability to be able to see what we're doing as we are taking pictures out and about. Of course, it's also important to be able to share the results that we're achieving as we're achieving them with people that might have a vested interest in those results. So with the tapir shoot this morning, we were able to show the keepers that were helping us out the pictures as we were doing them. And that's really useful if you want to be able to get people to buy into the ideas that you've got and to see the kind of vision that you're trying to get them to contribute to. But the monitors are not only useful for seeing stuff as it happens, they're also very good at reviewing work on a more ongoing basis. And we tend to use the monitors, like the little Shinobi here, in the studio as well. It just means that if we're working on a subject for a prolonged period of time and we don't want to keep having to get our eye up against that eyepiece, we have a bigger screen to review what's going on, and of course we can review the results as we're achieving them. So here's a little sequence that we did again a few weeks ago, just of Janet shooting a praying mantis here in the studio. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching those little video segments where we've tried to walk you through the process that we undertake to get pictures with different and more dramatic angles. We did the tapirs and the capybaras by shooting nice and low, almost ground level, with those wide angle lenses, almost looking up at the subjects, to try and just make the pictures look different, a slightly more kind of engaged perspective and a different point of view, really just to make the pictures stand out. And we were supplementing that a little bit with a little bit of carefully balanced daylight fill-in flash, just to try and make the pictures look different as well. And all of that we're monitoring with the little 5-inch monitor up on the top of the rig so that we can see what's going on as we are shooting. We've got some nice features on the monitors, like the ability to see whether the image is in focus with focus assist or focus peaking, and we can see whether our exposures are good with waveform monitors and histograms as well. And then of course we brought that into the studio with the little meerkat sequence and then the mantis sequence, and you can see how you can use those monitors in all sorts of different environments. So I hope you found all that useful. Don't forget to check out all the other things as part of the Cambridge Photography Week and with Campkins cameras. They will be able to help you out with all of the various products we've featured, the cameras, lenses, and the Atomos Shinobi 5-inch monitor that we've been using. And if you do need to get in contact with us, then just check out our website and all the contact information is there. So get out there, enjoy your photography, and thanks for listening.